All right, we are live. It is slightly afternoon here on the East Coast, but it is a Friday. I think it's Friday, June 26th. Last Friday in June. Wow. We have reached the end of the first half of the year. It's hard to believe. And it's small biz breakdown. That means we got to talk about like the highlights and the lowlights of the first half of the year. If you can find some highlights, put them in the comment section. We'd like to have some highlights. Anyway, let me do what I do so well. Introduce the panel, the crew, the group, part of the group. I'm going to say the good part of the group. Nobody's there to say otherwise. Anyway, he is back after, selling a house or something. Leland in Oregon. Hey, Leland.
Hey, Brent. How's it going?
It's going pretty good, although it's going to be pretty hot starting today. I think it's going to get to about 90. And by next week, we're going to be hanging out in the high 90s. So
that's pretty good. We've been in the 90s for a while. It's kind of like Mad Max over here. Everything's on fire. Road rage incidents happening left and right. But we get the reprieve today because the rain came and cooled things down a little bit.
Well, I'm glad you're getting that. We've been getting storms. It's either storms or droughts. It would be nice just to get a little rain every now and again, but beggars can't be choosers, I guess. Let's see how it is in part of the nation's heartland. They call it Gary, Indiana, and they call him Pierre.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Hey, Pierre. Doing good. You should just start going by one name, like just call Pierre.
Hey, it worked for Madonna, Sting, and Prince. I'll roll with that. So
there it is. All right. So it sounds like it's pretty nice out there. Is it a good day out there?
A little bit today, which is badly needed. We had the tornado a couple of weeks ago.
That's right. You're not in the library anymore. Congratulations.
Yeah. So it's got blown away more. No, just kidding. But seriously, they had the storms that week, and then this week they had another set of. It wasn't as bad as the previous one, but it was enough where they knocked out power again. So some people lost power for a second time after still recovering from the tornado. But we're going to get some sun through this weekend. So as far as I'm concerned, we're doing good.
You're doing damn good if you're not losing anything, power or internet, any of that stuff. So we hope we will put a special prayer out there to make sure that you keep your power and your internet access. Being without internet is not fun. I mean, it's almost as bad as being without food and water at this point. But
yeah.
We shall see. Going all the way down to, if you're going according to his shirt, Panama. Although I know this Negro has not been to Panama. Let's put it out there. He is the one and only. Thank God for that. The cold one, the bold one. I'm not even going to say the old one. It's just getting too old. Oh, did I? Anyway, it is John Cold Ice Lawson. Rather muted today.
What's up?
You got that nap in? You're
No, I'm still nap deprived.
Oh,
I'll get one.
You can do it during the show,
2 o'clock, take a nap.
2 o'clock, that's okay. That's we're at that age, except for Leland, I guess.
I love a good nap.
I've always
good. I have to say.
I've always when I was young, I always had a little nap.
I like napping.
You get refreshed, revived a little bit. Yeah. Enough of the nap talk. Stuff going on. It's literally the halfway point, or as close as we could get, because by the time we come back next week, it'll be past the halfway point. So this is the halfway point to 2026. It just seems like it's going much too fast in some ways and way too damn slow in other ways. I don't know how to put that all together, but just going off of this past week, how are you guys doing? What are you guys seeing? How are you feeling? Leland?
I'm seeing oil prices going down, and hopefully with that, and gas even has gone down in our area about 50 cents, which is really nice. I'm hoping that, with that comes inflation going down, and then maybe even the rates going down. I know I just secured my loan, and it's at like, 6.7, I think is the APR that I'm at. But if it goes down to a significant degree, I'll refinance. I'll get that lower rate. So I'm optimistic.
Oh, all right. By the way, I think I have a roughly between $11,000 and $12,000 left on my mortgage, but I don't feel a need to pay it off in one chunk because interest rate is 3.78. So
that's a good.
No point in doing that. Pierre.
This week, for me personally, it feels like a lighter load. I had a Juneteenth conference where I actually had to MC at the very, very last minute. The gentleman who was had put this together, they were relaunching it because they hadn't done it for a couple of years. Finally got a chance to relaunch it, but because of a mix-up with the flights, he couldn't get out to the Chicago location until the afternoon. He couldn't get it for whatever reason. So he called me at 11 o'clock and said, "Hey, can you sort of MC and introduce people until I can get my feet on the ground?" I said,
so
sure.
He literally called you at the 11th hour.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I was, and the funny part, I was still doing my slides too. So I was like, okay, bring it on. But it worked out great, and worked very, very well. So I had that, and then had to turn around for a workshop, training workshop, teaching people how to do data analysis with Excel. So it was kind of a busy week, but it's also feel a little lighter because next conferences is until September. I can kind of work on some things for ranging from the website we're trying to redo to just other projects. I feel lighter right now, and it's probably given what Layla said about gas prices. I hope people feel a little bit lighter right now, at least in that one area. So I'll say that and leave it there.
Sounds like a net positive vibe right now for you.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, I didn't know LinkedIn was doing vertical displays now.
Oh, that's new. Yeah.
Interesting. Thanks, Alan, for the shout out. But that's new to me. Thanks for letting us know. I didn't know that. Anyway, Mr. Lawson.
What's the question?
Oh, only the one that we've been doing every week for the last 2 years. But
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't care. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, there's nothing's changed.
No, nothing.
Same old. Whatever.
I thought I thought you might want us to pour a little something out for the ones we've lost this week. We lost the world's only trillionaire this week. We've lost.
Oh yeah, that.
Yeah. I mean, he's still alive. He's just not a trillionaire.
Well, like I said, bro, you spent a whole half an hour talking about him. So I guess this first half an hour,
it wasn't really about him. It was about we had our first trillionaire
on the world.
The world has seen its first trillionaire roam the earth, and I just wanted to know if there was something that any one of you felt or thought, and
yeah, and poof, and now he's gone,
and now he's back to being just a poor, lonely multi-billionaire.
Billionaire.
He's a multi-billionaire.
And still the richest person in the world.
And still by a long shot.
Exactly.
But you know what? While he was a trillionaire, he spent some of that money and got him Cursor for $60 billion. So really, even just that split second of being a trillionaire, he had enough money to make that look simple and stupid and cheap.
It could be one of the most
important,
amazing moves in this game right now.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, I agree with John on that too. There's a push to have a footprint with IDEs and blending that with AI agents and making it a convenient environment for developers. And so this was a smart move for them because right now Grok is there, but it's not getting the same heat as Claude Chat GPT with codecs and that type of thing. They needed something to kind of add into that. So I agree with John entirely. It was a smart move. I'll give them that. So
It was
they've got
it was
their own-
really smart. Go ahead.
They've got their own, language model too. So
yeah.
this should be interesting. Game
So
on.
SpaceX is pretty much now. Well, is SpaceX more about space, or now is it more about AI at this point, or does it even matter? I don't know.
It's a blend of both. And I think it's understandable. You can look at Google has a footprint in AI, but they also have, Office.
Google has a footprint in everything.
Yeah, so it's kind of almost like I
They
don't
have
see
a footprint in space.
Yeah. It's
You
sort
give
of,
him a decade.
We got it. We got that one.
so I think it was inevitable just because of how Musk was kind of folding everything in. But I think I think the key becomes, what is it that they're going to be remembered for the most, and particularly in terms of not just with the public, but now with shareholders, because you could be a company with so many different footprints, but you need to have the hallmark one is the one that your shareholders remember, and that's the one that really drives your share price at some point. So,
if you were one of those folks that bought SpaceX on its opening day of IPO, are you feeling good or are you feeling bad right now overall about the future of your investment?
I think it's a long. I think if they feel good, it's only because they see it as a long play. I think this whole thing about the share price, I can't remember what the numbers were. I think it went up almost it was definitely beyond 200 at one point, but now it's like 150. I haven't checked.
Yeah, it went up like roughly 22% over the initial price.
Yeah, so, that's what IPOs do anyway. It's sort of this thing where you have to purchase it, and then if you know long term that there's some sort of value in terms of how they earn money, that's what you're trying to play into and be sort of confident about. If it's short term, trying to flip it real quickly, then yeah, you're going to get burned. I mean, most people get burned on an IPO because a lot of times IPOs do pop up, but they also take a decline very quickly. So it's that value, but you usually are hanging on for value long term.
I think it's a bad play, and you're probably going to lose some money. Get out.
Get out now. Even
get out.
Well, like the movie. I hear
the whole market is overvalued. This is a bubble. It's going to burst at some point. Then you can pick it up then. But I don't know. That's
that mean. But so you're saying you feel like this is the time to sell, so you can time the market, because most people no, they can't time the market.
Yeah, I mean it's a time to sit
Pare
on
back.
the sidelines for a minute.
Okay.
I think the people who got in right at the it came out around $160 a share or something like that. People who got in at that point, they're in and stayed. They're doing all right because it's still at around 150, 153. Actually today it is 155. So it's not like too much of a loss. But if you're day 2 or if you were day 3, then stayed, you're losing. The people who won were the people who came in, bought a ton of shares the first day, first minute, and then cashed out at $200 a share.
Smart.
Well, the people who really made it was the folks who got those shares without having to pay them. They got in before. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Which is why I never get involved with that, because of stuff we're talking about. It's as hyped up as this thing was, you knew it was going to take off like a rock. No pun intended. take off like a rocket. So there's absolutely no way you're going to get in anywhere close to the ground floor. And that's what I want. Or the things that I like are when people aren't talking about the stuff at all when it first comes out. That's the time to bid it when everybody's looking at it, and even suckers and people who never even look at the stock market know, oh, I think I might give you some of that. Steer clear. You can't, you know, you can't do nothing about it. You can't get in at the ground level, but you can sure sell at the floor. I mean, at the ceiling, and that's what I think a lot of people have been doing. I think in the long run, and if you don't need the money right away, you might as well just keep it there, because eventually, even after 2008, even after 2000, with every bubble that comes, if you keep your money in over time, you end up better off over time. So I don't know. If you can time the market, that's great. I haven't had a lot of luck doing that.
Play.
Yeah, it's kind of a long play. I saw some investor guy came out today, said, "Oh, no, this is going to be the worst bubble ever." I'm like, all right, whatever, dude. He's been saying that for 10 years. They don't tell you that part.
I mean,
so I don't know.
It will be. Yeah, it will be.
It will be.
Will be.
And then you know what'll happen?
I mean, if history is any indication, it will be.
When you say it will be, are you saying it will be the worst bubble bust? Or
yes, absolutely.
Okay, and then I think what I say is true too. Even after the worst bubble bursts, 5-10 years later, it's yeah. So I mean, unless you exactly know how to time the market, or if you do need the money, you got to do what you got to do. But that's why I stay away from those kind of high rising things, because unless I have somebody giving me some inside, shares, what's the point? Mr. Lawson, didn't you get some like way back in the day, some shares from a company you work with? I mean, like pre-IPO shares, right?
Yeah.
Whatever happened?
I've done that several times.
Several. So are you holding on to them? Are they worth what you?
Oh no, they got bought out. They cashed out.
So when they cashed out, what happened with your share? Did you get some money out of that?
I got money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you have bought the shares on the open market on the IPO?
It was called Cabbage.
Oh, the one that was it American Express bought?
Say again?
Was that American Express that bought them?
Yeah, American Express bought them. But I mean, it never went public.
So because they never went public, but you had pre-IPO shares, right?
Right.
And they were bought based on a valuation, right?
Right.
So did you get whatever?
Yes.
Okay, so you did.
I got most of my money.
Now let me add. Oh wow. Okay, well,
most of my money.
But you didn't put any money up to get that, right?
Say what?
You didn't put any money up to get that.
No.
That's
I just got.
So if you could have bought
for my
on the very first day when it IPO'd, and you knew that company inside and out, right? Would you have bought on the first day?
At that time, probably not. No, because it was a financial, company, and we went through COVID. So, probably not.
Do you think tech is going to be, if you believe there's a bubble, and it could be, I don't know.
Here's the thing. The reason why there's a bubble and is because people jump in that are not educated on what's going on, and they're just trying to make money off of the investment. And then, so that's the first version.
But
that second version,
we've had that though before, right? We've had that though before, like in 2000, the internet bubble. Exactly. Yeah. And we recovered from that and went higher.
And then it goes higher up. Yes.
But in 2008, it was the financial, the subprime mortgage and all that. So that was a financial kind of thing. It had the same kind of impact. Actually, it was pretty bad. It was worse than I think the 2008 bubble was even worse. And we came back on that within what, 5 years? By the time,
good 5.
So given this, if you say this might be the worst of all, and it's a tech bubble.
The reason why it's the worst of all is because it's the most impactful of all.
Is it because there's more people that think they know stuff? Because we have way better communications and cheaper platforms, and people can do a lot more and they hear a lot more and they think they know even more than they really do know. And that makes the possible bubble even worse because there's even more people who have no clue thinking they have clues.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know necessarily if that is the reason, but I mean, part of it is, yes, there are a lot of people having access to being able to get into this market right now that they didn't have that before. I mean, it used to take a whole lot to put your money in, but we got apps now and we can invest. So yeah, that's going to be one of the things too. But we'll see.
Yeah, I agree with John in the sense that the access is a little different now. It's a little broader. In fact, part of AI's appeal is this whole idea that you can use natural language. So look at programming, for example. When people, tech was starting to become a big deal, you at least had a little bit of a barrier because you had to understand syntax, understand what is JavaScript, what is Python, what is a framework for it. Even business owners, when you've had to ask for development help, you kind of need to know, how does this person understand the syntax in order for me to get the app that I need for my business. Now with AI, with natural language, it makes it a lot easier for people to kind of enter in, use some of the features. And I agree with John that yeah, it's a factor at some level. It's not probably not going to be the only factor because now you have to look at computing capacity. We see this now with the availability of chips, basically, or just the whole idea of how do data centers, consuming resources. There are other factors in here that I think are impacting it. And I think the other reason for the bubble is just plain and simply, we know that AI is important, but we can't imagine what the demand is. We understand there's a demand, but we don't understand the scale of it in the same way you would for a resource like, how much, let's say, aluminum is in high demand in the auto industry because there was a switch over from steel to aluminum. You can kind of get a sense of how long that demand can be. This is just something happening very fast, impacting so many different sectors of our lives, and it's just hard to kind of get your grip around. And you have also the bonus factor of people kind of jumping in and trying to figure out where they can make money off of it.
I think that the accessibility, the what you were talking about, Pierre, the demand, basically it being something that is used by pretty much everyone can do it in the world that has access to a computer. You can even get AI models that are so small that they can run on little microcomputers. They're not good, but you can do it. And that shows just how far-reaching it can be. There's another technology out there that I would argue could be potentially even more important than AI, and that is quantum computing, being a technology that is like within reach. They're developing quantum computers. They've got models out there that actually can do it. It's a expensive endeavor. IBM over the next 5 years is going to invest $10 billion into this technology, but it's not necessarily something that the average Joe is going to be using or needs to use until it becomes that commercially viable. There's a reason for them to be able to use it, and I imagine that will probably be a combination of AI and quantum computing. Maybe that's where you'll see that intersect, but you're not going to see that much money being thrown at. I mean, it's $10 billion. I believe that would be a drop in the bucket compared to the billions and billions that have been spent on AI. But it's that commercial viability, and that's why people are flocking to AI as to opposed to quantum computing, because there's a market there, and the market is the entire world in one way or another, but it's how to capitalize it, how to actually get your return back on that investment that seems to be where these companies are kind of struggling a little bit.
Look, everybody's not going to get a return on their investment. That's the bubble. It's not going to work for everybody. So, And that's one of the things. Then the other thing, like you're saying, hey, you got models that work on your phone right now. I mean, ultimately, if you think about it, they're building all these data centers, and like, how long is that going to be relevant? And so you've spent a whole lot of money on those things. Can you get that back? Uh-oh.
Yeah, we
Look,
can hear
all
you,
of a
but you're
sudden,
kind of frozen. Yeah,
I'm
you're
spinning.
you're
I
always
don't know.
spinning. No,
Like
I
everybody
think
went spinning on my
yeah, I think you're
thing,
slowly
right?
leaving us.
Or am I back or not?
I don't know what the
You're
heck you are.
fading. You're
Maybe
fading
not.
away, buddy.
But
I can hear him now.
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
yeah,
Can you see us? All right, good. Well, I think one of the things that you said that I most agree with is these folks are spending like up to 80, $100 billion, and just announced this year AI capital expenditures. And when you think of
yeah,
how
my
much they
internet
actually
connection
make,
is bad.
yeah, it's very bad. But when you think about how much revenue or
I'm
profit they
fading
drive,
away. See,
yeah, we've been noticing that for the last.
they didn't want they didn't want everybody to hear.
Can you hear us? I don't
The
think you
man's
can hear
trying.
us.
I
The
can't.
man's trying to shut down John. They don't like what he's putting out.
He's trying to shut me down, bro.
Now you look a little clearer now. I don't know if you're. Yeah.
It came through and it went away. I don't know, man.
Okay, come back. I'll put a message in the little private chat. Go out and come back in.
Turn your router on and off.
All right, look at the private chat. There he goes. Yeah. So what I was saying is, some individual companies have committed like up to $100 billion in AI capital expenditures for a 12-month period. How in the world could they get an ROI anywhere in the next 2 or 3 or 4 years if they're committing over 1 full years of profit to AI, investment? That's what's driving the financial people crazy. It's like, how in the world can you explain how we're going to get our money back if you're putting that much into it?
I think the big thing that they're wanting to try to do is be the one that's on top. We had, the figurative space race when it came to social media, and then you had like Facebook and Twitter and all of these, and all the other social media companies went and died. It's like you had that back in the day. It was Dig versus Reddit, and then all of a sudden Reddit was on top. And I believe that's what they're ultimately trying to do. History will ultimately repeat itself, and that's who's going to be the AI company on top at the end of the day. And that's I think ultimately what they're vying for, and that they're kind of betting on. And it's kind of an all or nothing, because if you do nothing, I mean, you run the risk of just ultimately being left out of the game. So they have to try to do something in order to be the one that's on the top at the end of the day. And then ultimately you have all the customers at that point, and you make your money back over time by keeping those customers and making sure that your competitors don't have them.
That's you're totally right. I totally the way I think they view it. Do they remember what happened to Cisco? I mean, they were the first to put all that piping under the ocean on the, and they're just literally getting back to where they were in terms of their stock price, because they were done. And believe me, I know, because I own a couple hundred shares that, and it was devastating to the shareholders, because they built all that out and they invested so much that it made it difficult for the ROI to come back until like decades later. Is this being repeated? Because the numbers that they were investing in, putting those cables and fiber underwater are nowhere near as much as these folks are putting up for AI.
Yeah, I think Yeah, I hear you on it. I think the appealing piece of this for why they're investing so much is that they think they can scale relatively quickly, which that might be true if things are set up correctly. But as John rightly pointed out, not everyone's going to make money on AI. And part of that hindrance will be how well the deciding factor is going to be how well they can implement AI into their operations and workflow, how quickly they can do it, and how much they can scale. I think that's the part that has an appeal right now in a way that and at scale is the temptation is that they think they can scale in a way that compared to something like what happened with Oracle and the cable laid out, you can scale quickly and you can kind of make up for some lost time at some level. At least that's the idea that I think that they want to do. Now, how realistic they can pull that off, whole different story. It depends on, again, how they are situated, how they deploy, how well that they can learn very quickly, and how well they can apply loop engineering at some level to get to really figure out, all the bugs and all the things that can happen when you use agents to work with your tools and systems.
What was the big social network before Facebook came along?
MySpace was beating out Facebook a little bit.
It was really MySpace that was the pre-Facebook leader. Why did they get killed, and why did Facebook take off?
I would guess it's uniformity, and there was some issues with viruses on MySpace. Basically, MySpace had the ability for you to customize your page using JavaScript, CSS, and so it was, your space. It was, your look, your feel. You could put music on it, and it brought people in because of that. But that was probably also the double-edged sword. There was no uniformity. I didn't know where everything was when it was on another person's page, and I could get a virus because it was pulling in assets from other websites, and that was a huge issue. There were security concerns, and ultimately people just found themselves gravitating towards Facebook, which was the same. No matter what you did, you were looking at the same thing, and you had that feed option to be able to see what are other people putting on, and you didn't have the risk of being hacked.
That sounds great.
Farmville.
All right, expand on that.
Yeah. One. Yeah, that's good. Candy Crush.
People were playing this game, and everybody's like, "Oh, you got to be on Facebook to play this game." So it's like, okay, well, I need to go ahead and give me a Facebook account. And then, like you said, you do uniformity of Facebook, the simplicity of it.
And you saw other people there. They made sure that you knew the people that you knew on some other network were also there now, right? And then
you had to invite people.
Yeah. So that once you saw the folks that you were hanging with transfer, you wanted to be over there too, right? And that kind of killed MySpace. I never really got into it, but
the user experience got to the point where that was not the place to be anymore.
This is like BlackBerry versus Apple. There's something that goes on that because I was a diehard. Matter of fact, you could combine it. Blueberry and Windows. I was a diehard Blueberry phone and Windows operating machine devices. And then somewhere along the line, and it is, I don't even know how it happened, but I transitioned without even knowing I transitioned, and I've never looked back. And it feels like there's something that certain companies do that capture our attention, and take it from somebody else who is like the leader and just easily transfers it over. And the next thing you know, we don't even remember using that stuff anymore. Is that what we're going to see? Or is that what some of these companies are hoping when they invest these hundreds of billions of dollars in AI to have that happen? Can one company pull that kind of thing off?
One company will.
If you had to guess, who do you think of all the companies out there that are spending all this money and going IPO and raising $1 trillion overnight? If you had to gamble your own money, like all your money, you had to put all your money on one winner.
They have.
Where would you put your
they?
money?
Do they exist right now?
I mean, you could say they don't exist, but that ain't fun.
No, but I'm saying. So you're saying just on the people that are out here right now.
Yeah, let's say on the people that are out that we all know, you have to put some money down, all your money down on just one winner right now. Which company would it be?
Oh, that's easy for me. So
All right,
let's hear what you guys say.
Leland, I see you really started squinting there, didn't
you? It's like, ChatGPT is the one that actually brought this out, but I don't know if they may be able to stay in the game, but I don't know if they're going to be the one on top. Honestly, just because of its other avenues for being able to make money and be able to fund itself, I would actually kind of put more money on Google, just because they can play the long game. Where some of these companies like ChatGPT or Claude, if they don't have those other elements within the company to be able to support themselves, if there's a hiccup, if there's a monkey wrench thrown out there, they could go. So I would put my money on Google because they have that flexibility.
All right, Pierre.
This is an interesting one. If I had to pick, I almost want to say Amazon, but I'd rather pick something closer in retail that wasn't quite already big in tech like Amazon, but something that's approaching it. And here's why I would say that. So my imagination would be something like a Walmart, or even something like a sleeper like a Kroger's, for example.
Wow.
And here's why I'm picking those. I think everyone has to have technology now. I think that's a big part of it. And technology is a broad word, which means broad ways of application. Somebody within retail can really kind of think a little bit about the human element, about how people will interact with a product, which that part Amazon does well online, but they don't have a real big physical presence. But something like a Walmart, where they have to invest in some level of technology and applying it, would be possible. Maybe even Apple. Maybe Apple would be a thought for that, because they have to have Apple computers. I know there's still a lot of discussion about Surrey and the fact that they have to purchase Gemini, or licensing to put Gemini into Surrey and that type of thing. I still think it's going to come from something retail oriented, where they have to automatically by default think about the people that they are interacting with in order to make some sort of technology meaningful and valuable to not only them, but also the customers as well. And will have some sort of meat behind it, basically.
So your final answer is?
I'm going to say I'm going to say Apple as a placeholder for now. I think there's still somebody a little bit deeper in retail who's on the come up that probably would be even better than that. But I'm going to say Apple as a placeholder.
Well, at least they have a unique and successful physical retail strategy. I mean, it's not a huge footprint, but the stores they do have, people still love going to them stores. It's really interesting to see. I mean, I hate going to any store, but a lot of people like going to the stores. All right, Mr. Lawson. So we've got one for Google, one for, you said, Apple.
Apple, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm going to say Anthropic. Their ability to stick and stay in their lane, and then everybody else ends up having to come to their table, and I just find their ability to do that and have a what would you call it, that as a company, they've got direction and they stick to it, I think that's going to be important later on down the line. So
Okay.
if I had to put my money somewhere, that's where I'd put it. Although
So-
I really honestly think there's going to be something that we don't see that's going to come up and blow everybody out the water.
That's my thought, that these wild cards of basically these companies putting out free open models. And I mean, we get computers that are faster, bigger enough, where we get the models to the point to where they can operate on smaller machines that could displace it could displace some of these bigger companies, because then you just have essentially some Chinese model or even some model that's made in America that just blows everyone else out the water. Right now, in order to be able to get like your true LLM or like a Codex or something like that, you need to be able to have a beast of a server with like near a terabyte of RAM to be able to
and a
compete,
significant amount of memory bandwidth. It's not just about the amount of RAM, but to be able to push it through simultaneous, that bandwidth, because that's what Apple is really. That's what's really getting those Mac Studios. Not just they can put up to like 512 gigabytes of RAM in one box, but they also have like this a huge amount of memory bandwidth, so that stuff can go. That's why when you're able to like string together 4 of those suckers, and you end up having that 2 bytes of RAM, but you also have that memory bandwidth that can shoot back and forth at a wide amount of memory, so a lot of data can be flowing at simultaneous times. That seems to be a big thing. That's why I was tempted to go with Apple. I was tempted to go with Amazon, and the play with Amazon is they may be the company that has best been able to use data and do stuff with it in real time, because they know how to use the data they get off of the websites, from all the transactions, and do stuff with it. Some of these companies do not know how to use data. They don't know what to do with data. They thought AI is the answer, and AI is you need clean, very well not well structured, but just a clean environment where the data has been proven to be right and exact and full, and then you can do stuff with it with AI. Most companies, even the biggest companies, struggle with that. So that was why I almost said them.
Yeah, and even on top
So
of that,
who'd you say?
Why'd you interrupt Pierre? He was going to say something.
Well, I mean, because I don't want him to. I need you to tell us who you say, and then we can discuss it.
All right. I was trying to be, because Pierre really had something he wanted to say. So
yeah, but John brings up a good point. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Don't be backing down to that dude. No, I land on it as of today. This is my answer just for today, because it might change tomorrow. I don't know, but I land on Google still, because Google does a couple of things and has the ability to do things that I don't know, or at a level that I don't know anybody else can do. Maybe Facebook, but their ability to keep our attention through all these different services they have. You got the business services, you got the search stuff, you got YouTube TV and YouTube. You've got all of this stuff that we seem to be always spending our time in, creating data in, and they do a pretty good job of actually using the data. Now they've seamlessly added their Gemini, all this AI stuff right on top of that. And we weren't talking about Gemini a year ago, but Gemini is getting as close to some of these other companies in terms of OpenAI and Anthropic with their LLMs and how they're using them as anybody. I would assume they're still number 3, but it's not like they're 1, 2, and then Down here 3. They're getting closer and closer. So I would say if I had to put my money on it right now, it would be Google. All right, now you can tear me apart.
I can't forgot. I actually forgot what I was going to
See,
say.
that's why I wanted you to say it.
He was going to say something about Amazon.
Gosh, what was I going to say? Because I can't.
See, we're too old to be putting stuff, waiting to say stuff. We got to say it while it's on our mind.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is, gosh, I can't remember what the point was. That's all right. We'll get to another point. Let's move on.
I will say about Amazon, it's like I went to a AWS event like a couple of days ago, and they a little local event, and just the way that they're going about with the building of these data centers. I mean, you talk about data centers, and like in our area, and I know that there's really only kind of like 3 main hubs within the United States, and I'm like one of the 3, but it's like they are just going at it like madmen. And it's not just like we're making data centers only for AI for our products. It's we're making data centers that we can actually charge people for to be able to use access. And they're actually like you could spin up installations of like AI through AWS to be able to get your own private AI. So there's that as an option. And Amazon is utilizing that as an option to be able to make money, but then probably in the back utilizing this as a backbone to be able to build their own AI. So, I mean, that's another kind of like piece in the puzzle to kind of like which one will be on top. And I mean, that's a good business model.
Yeah,
in my mind,
that's AWS all over again.
Yeah. I remember my point I was going to bring up. You mentioned about data and about the need to understand structure. Some companies are realizing that they don't understand the structure as well as they should. AI has definitely sort of exposed that as something that you need to have an understanding if you're going to explore data and come up with models that can help build forecasts, help you understand with customer retention, where the customers are churning. The best companies who already kind of have a leg up on data are now getting even stronger now with AI. And I think, again, that goes back to earlier to what John had brought up about who's going to make an ROI and who isn't. It's the people who are really, AI is helpful for workflow, but it accelerates certain tasks and certain things and allows you to get things done. And I think some companies don't quite understand that acceleration. And I think the ones who are poor with data are just going to not going to quite get left behind, but they're going to have a real big struggle now because now they have to actually understand how to use AI and how to query and use AI to get more out of their data and get those insights they need to get.
You know what? Here's one thing that I think you guys might want to consider that once we get to whatever it's called, singularity, then data usage doesn't really come into play because the AI will use the data at its best. That the deal is it's about getting the singularity because once you get that, then you win.
All right, just for those of us who don't know, what are you talking about when you say get to singularity?
I mean, it's just where the AI is the smartest thing on the planet. Period.
But in order for it to be the smartest thing on the planet, it needs fuel, and the fuel is data, and as clean and as accurate as you can get it. That makes the AI smarter.
That just doesn't. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter anymore. I can't explain it. I've been way too deep into it to kind of be able to.
I disagree.
Make myself be able to
I don't see how, if you don't have good data, accurate data, timely data, AI can't be as good as it can be.
Because the data is driving the model at some level. And then on top of that,
no, it's not anymore. It's driving the model.
No,
You get the singularity. And after you get the singularity, data doesn't matter.
No, you're talking about, you be talking about singularity. I'm talking about model with an AI model relies on data to be created at some level. I mean, you can look at even the small language models that are brought in through like a Llama or LM Studio. Some of those are trained up to a certain date. And they're designed that way such that as a user, you can apply data and be able to create a model that fits for your specific needs.
Yes, until you get to the point where you can create your own data.
Well, you can. There's a lot of synthetic data creation going on out there.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
It needs real data to create simulated data, and you have to keep it accurate over time. So even though
I think the other part of it too, we're still at a point where we're talking about there's still systems of agents that people have talked about quite a bit of. So you now have something systematic that has to be coordinated, and that part I think also probably be a factor as well.
Yeah, well, I think a lot right now. Most people are I guess when it comes to AI, they're using these large language models that are more probabilistic and not deterministic, and companies, enterprises running these building these big operations, running agents, using these agents for workflow automation, for process automation, and for complex systems. They can't run most of their stuff on LLMs because that's mostly probabilistic. They need to be able to run stuff that kits out accurate, consistent answers to things that their customers are looking for. And that's why you're seeing them design with more deterministic models in mind versus the LLMs that are mostly probabilistic, meaning you can ask the thing 5 times the same. You could put the same prompt in 5 times. You might get 5 different answers. Businesses can't run on that. So they're working on these deterministic models so that they get a consistent answer if the same thing happens. Because as one CEO said that I talked to recently, if you really understand your customers' needs, then about 95% of them or everybody has the same thing, 95% of them. So you need to build systems that are designed from a deterministic set of AI models instead of a probabilistic, because you can't ask something 5 times and get 5 different answers and expect the company to be satisfied with that, or a customer even to be satisfied with that.
I've been seeing that as well.
So here's go ahead. And I'll jump in.
I've been seeing that for the product, companies that want to be able to sell a product and be able to make sure that it's going to be, one of the questions that I ask these companies is, how are you guarding against hallucinations, coming up with false data? And they're like, we have guardrails in place to make sure. We have AI checking AI, we have humans checking it, that kind of information. Adobe is one of those to where it's like, if you're going to be dumping in a bunch of data into Acrobat to be able to create reports, they do not want it to they want to make sure that it's not going to hallucinate numbers and start coming up with figures for the sales presentations that it's coming up with. I did an interview with Zen Business. They're coming out with an AI helper for their website to be able to guide them through the right kind of LLC to buy or corporation to incorporate into. And I asked them, it's like, what are the safeguards? And they're like, we want to make sure that the information that comes out is consistent. It's only trained on the data that we give it, and we tell it explicitly not to go outside of these confines, because that would be a very devastating issue if all of a sudden bad information was coming in. And the default is, if it doesn't know, it doesn't make it up. It just says, I don't know. And that's the best option for that kind of scenario. In Adobe or anything like that, it just goes back to the data and says, I don't know if I don't know, but here's what I do know.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of that, and I think that's where like a broader look with the whole AI anxiety and with SaaS apocalypse stuff. with people thinking that individuals with a couple of $20 a month kind of services can create something that'll sweep away enterprise software. People who know a little bit better are laughing at it, but most people don't know it because of stuff like that. What you just said, Leland, those enterprise systems are taking all that stuff into consideration because they'll get killed if they don't. Whereas,
So,
anyway, go ahead.
Let me go back to what started this conversation. So
MySpace?
MySpace.
Nothing. Go ahead.
So I went ahead and asked AI because that's what I do. So it's a great question. Let me think through this the way you want to break it down.
Thanks, Alan.
So it's like first defining singularity. Singularity is the moment that AI surpasses human intelligence across all domains and starts improving itself without us. So at that point, the rules change.
That's a good definition. You didn't say that before.
I know. That's what I said.
Yeah,
it's hard for me to
say
the things, without me being plugged into AI. It's hard. So the short answer is, though, probably not data the way we used to think about data today. And here's why. Because pre-singularity, which is where we are right now, AI is a pattern matching machine. It needs massive amounts of data to learn anything. So data is the raw material.
Can I just jump in and say one little caveat? The generative side of AI will take data and instead of saying, I don't know, it will create stuff that not necessarily you want it to create.
So no data, no intelligence. After singularity, a super intelligent system could theoretically generate its own synthetic data, reason from first principles without examples, and derive knowledge the way mathematics prove theorems from logic alone.
Well, that's great with algorithms and formulas and stuff like that. Yeah.
So it essentially becomes its own data source, which is basically what I was saying. Not really. I couldn't figure that in, but essentially it becomes its own data source. It does not need data any longer that we think about. So
I will say, with the exception of there's still, when we say AI, we're it's like a general, but there's some real specific different kinds of AI that are playing into all this. And generative is one of those that will create stuff even if it's not right. And if that's still a part of this component, then there's always going to be something that it could go terribly wrong. It won't be accurate. It'll be faster with a failure that could be catastrophic in ways we haven't thought of before.
I think that I hear what John is saying. I think the one thing I think about when I hear synthetic data is you have to start asking, what was the source or what was the for lack of a better word, inspiration for
what did they use to create the synthetic, or what, even not just the materials, but what was the strategy, what was the formula that they used to create the synthetic data?
Yeah, and the assumptions that were made off of that. Those things become really super important at that point. I hear what you're saying, John. I just think that when we talked about this earlier, the first thing I'm thinking in my mind is what's being sourced as data. And it doesn't have to even be AI. Go back and look at the Theranos instance. That wasn't computers, but they faked data trying to convince the world of a machine that was not working the way that they did. Had they just kind of walked back and said, okay, this is not okay, Elizabeth probably would not have been put to jail as what's happened, basically. So we need to have something where we can kind of at least, no matter what the data is, whether it's a synthetic or it's coming from a database, there needs to be some sort of trail, some sort of for not so much an audit trail, but at least some sort of idea of what's sourcing that and how it was created to help us understand what the model is that we're using in a certain application.
Pierre was just too nice to say to you that you were wrong. That's all.
I was
You
not
know
saying
what? Here's the
that.
thing.
Okay, I was not
Here's the
saying
thing.
that. Okay.
You know, to be grounded right now, you need to believe what you believe. So I understand that. It's almost, you know, you really can't imagine the unimaginable, because when we get to the point where there's something that actually is smarter than humans, which we've never had ever in history, the game changes. And it's really hard to imagine what the world's going to be like and what reality is going to be like when that happens. So I get it. I mean,
That's true.
it's impossible.
But we
More
also have to.
singularity. This
But
is what
we also have to keep in mind that this stuff is created by humans, and there are flaws that might work their way in because of that, and we don't know what those flaws could do. Or
absolutely.
be.
But you know what? Here's the deal: your data is already flawed, but you assume that it's actual, but it's flawed.
All right, now we don't. Most people say if you ask them about their company's data, they'll tell you it's flawed.
Well, I'm saying data in general is flawed because it's made by humans, and the humans are interpreted by humans, and the humans have already flawed the data already. So that's
yeah,
where we
but
are.
there's not
Let me
even
finish on this one.
okay.
So that's where we are right now, where we think, you know, one side has this truth and another side has its own truth. And is there really truth anymore? Probably not. So data is already flawed.
I guess if you want to get like philosophical on that, I guess you could. But
you have to.
Look, 2 + 2 is 4, and you could stick that in a grid.
Is it really? Is it real?
Yeah, it is really.
I don't know. Maybe
ask AI and see what it says.
I'm teasing. Absolutely. Mathematics, but that was what we're talking about. Mathematics. Mathematics is one thing, and it is what it is.
Let me say it like this. Your name is John Lawson. In somebody's database, first name is going to be John, second name is going to be Lawson, spelled JOHNLAWSON. Somebody else's database that you're in, you're going to be John Lawson. First name spelled JON, second name spelled ALAWSIN.
No, well, that's not me.
It is that it's representing you in their database.
No, that's
it just so happens that one is right and one is wrong, but it's still you. And there's a lot of that going on, especially in banks. Think about how many different accounts you may have at a single bank. I have the Bank of America for me. I have a mortgage with them. I have a couple of personal checking accounts, a couple of business accounts. So it's me, and I'm in there at least 5 or 6 different times. And I will guarantee you there's something in one of those accounts that is representing me that is different than some of the other accounts that is also representing me. It shouldn't be like that, but I'm sure there is.
Or, you know, same name, different person, and then it's associating you with that other person. My dad, his name is Leland McFarland. I have been mistaken. You know, my accounts have crossed with his. Minor things, but it's happened a lot. And yeah, it's kind of frustrating. But, you know, mistakes like that happen.
And they've been happening since the beginning of time, unfortunately. And that's why I would love to get to a point. Yeah, the data
is flawed.
Yeah. Which if you take the next leap, which means AI is working with flawed material, so you have to expect something to happen. I know what happens now is we're into this show because it's a little over time. All right, folks. Anybody have any last words before we head out for the week?
Just
have a great weekend. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the sun.
Relax, enjoy. The data will be there on Monday, as well as the AI models and all the challenges with it. Relax.
Sound like Aaron Rodgers over there. Relax.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that's not your guy. It's not a bear. Anyway, Mr. Baldwin.
Stay cool, and it's spelled John.
I'm just saying. And I'm Brent, Brent Leary, Leary. Period. Have a great weekend, and maybe we'll see you next Friday. Talk soon.
Take care.